Please be seated. Source of light, of truth, and of the impulse within us towards justice and mercy, may this hour of worship be one of vision and inspiration. Help us to find knowledge by which to live. Let the words we speak enter our hearts and influence our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in search of you, or in need of comfort and consolation. May the offering of their hearts be acceptable to you. And may the prayers we utter here bear fruit in acts of kindness, peace, and love. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign in the universe. You sanctify us with your commandments and enjoin us to study your teachings. With what shall I approach the Eternal One?
How shall I worship the God of heaven?
Shall I come before God with burnt offerings? God be pleased with thousands of rams. Should I give my firstborn for my transgressions? People tell you what is good, but what does the Eternal One require of you? These are actions which bring benefit here and now, but whose full value can be measured only in the light of eternity. Honoring one's father and mother, acts of love and kindness, diligent pursuit of knowledge and wisdom, hospitality to strangers, visiting the sick, enabling bride and groom to rejoice, consoling the bereaved, praying with sincerity, and making peace where there is strife, and the study of Torah leads to them all. Eternal God, may the words of Torah taste sweet to us and to all Israel, that we and our children and all the children of your people may come to know you by studying Torah. We praise you, O God, teacher of your people Israel. Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam baruch hu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, ha'mehulal b'fnei amo, v'shubach mefar b'lshon chasidav v'adav, v'shvachot v'zmirot, v'gadelcha v'namlichecha mokim, yachid chei ha'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai melech mehulal v'tishvachot. Sing for joy to the Eternal One, you who are righteous. Give thanks to the Eternal One with the lyre. Sing to God a new song. God's word holds good. The Eternal One loves righteousness and justice. By the Eternal One's word the heavens were made. The divine command the ocean waves rise. Let all the earth revere the Eternal One. You spoke, and it was. How shall I sing of day and night when it is God who formed them? How shall I sing of heaven and earth when it is God who founded them? How shall I sing of mountains and hills when it is God who planted them? How shall I sing of deserts and seas when it is God who begot them? How shall I sing of earth and her fullness when it is God who bade them be? I shall sing of the one who fashioned them all, the one who is above them all, of God alone. I shall sing.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
kadosh b'shamayim u'b'aretz. Ki lecha na'er Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu. Shiru shvacha. Hallel v'zimra. Brachot v'hoda'ot. Me'atah v'adorah. Baruch atah Adonai. Ofer v'sirei zimra. Baruchu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach. Le'olam va'ed.
Let's be seated. We praise you, eternal one, our God, sovereign of the universe, maker of light, creator of darkness, author of peace and creator of all things. In your mercy you give light to the earth and all who live on it. And in your goodness you renew creation continually day by day. How manifold are your works, O God. With wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creations. Your handiwork proclaims your praise. The radiant stars bear witness to your glory. We praise you, O God, creator of light. Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu. Chemla Gedola V'Terach Hamata Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu. Ba'avor Avotenu Shubachu V'chad. Vatlamdein Chukei Chayim. Ken Techonenu V'kamdeinu. V'ten B'livenu Lavinu L'Haskil. Ishmoa. Lilmod. Ulamed. Lishmor V'la'asot. Ukayem et kol divrei Toratacha. V'hava. V'ha'erenenu b'Toratacha. V'dabek livenu b'mitzvotacha. V'chein levavenu lahava u'yira et shemecha. Ki baru b'charta v'chenecha b'hava. Baruch atah Adonai, Ocher ba'amo Yisrael b'hava. And let's stand. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha V'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele Asher Anochi metzabecha hayom al levavecha V'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam V'shivtecha b'veitecha Uvlevtecha b'derech V'shaltecha uv'kanecha V'shartam la'ot aliyatecha V'hayu letotafot beinenecha Uv'tatam al mezuzot beitecha Uv'isharecha. And let us be seated.
Levant Yisrael, was in Temet Hobbit vertreibt, wie Temet Oshim Lelohehem, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hoseti etchem be'eretz Mitzrayim, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Good and beautiful and true, sound, established, and enduring are these words now, forever. True it is, eternal one, that you are sovereign God and Redeemer. As you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors, you are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper, our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. Redeemed us from Egypt, freed us from the house of bondage. Then with great joy Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song.
Mi chamocha, my lieb Adonai, mi chamocha le'nam
singing sang to your name at the shore of the sea. With one accord they gave thanks and proclaimed your sovereignty.
Adonai Yimloch, Le'olam Va'ed. Tzur Yisrael, Kol Ha'Bezrat Yisrael, Go Aleinu, Adonai Tzebaot Shemo, Kadosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Ba'al Yisrael.
Let's stand. Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei V'Nehem, L'Ma'an Shmo B'Yahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, V'Chaim Etim Atah Rav Moshiach, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGeshem, Mazriach HaShemesh U'Morid HaTal, Mechalkel Chayim V'Chesed, V'Chaim Etim B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofech Olim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mkayim Emunato L'Shenei Afar, Mi Chamocha Ba'al Geburot, U'Mido Melach, Melech Meimit U'Mchaye U'Matzliach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman Atala Chayot Meitim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye HaMeitim. We sanctify your name on earth, as in the prophets' vision. The hosts of heaven sing your praise above, for so it is written.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzebaot, Meloch ha'aretz
Kavodo Malei Olam.
Baruch kavod Adonai, Mimekomo.
Mimkomecha Malkeinu Tofia, V'timloch Aleinu ki mechakim anachnu lach.
Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai Tzion, Ve'or v'adot, Hallelujah.
From generation to generation we will make known your greatness. To the end of time we will proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O our God, shall never depart from our lips. We praise you, eternal one, the holy God. Please be seated. You inspired our ancestors to hallow this day for your service. When upon its coming we pause to contemplate our life, we learn anew that we do not live by bread alone, but also by the spiritual nourishment we receive when we open ourselves to your influence. We thank you for the Sabbath day and for the opportunity it offers to enhance the quality of our lives. We thank you for its joy and for its peace. In our worship, help us to take into our hearts its message of holiness, to consecrate all our days, our devotion to what is true, beautiful, and good.
Yismechu b'malchotcha, Yismechu b'malchotcha, Shomrei Shabbat b'korei olei, Alekach shesheni, Alekach shesheni, Olam yizmehu v'yitaglu mitovecha,
Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu, ritzei v'nuchatenu, kashenu b'mitzvotecha, v'ten chalkenu b'toratecha, v'sabenu b'tuvecha, v'samchenu b'shuatecha, v'taher libenu lo'ovtecha be'emet, v'chanechilenu Adonai Eloheinu, v'haba uvratzon shabbat kodshecha, v'yanu uva Yisrael mekadshe shemecha, Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat. Eternal God, be gracious to your people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. We praise you, O God, who alone we worship and reverence. We give thanks that you, eternal one, are our God, as you were the God of our ancestors. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your keeping, for the signs of your presence we encounter every day, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom thanks are due. Sim shalom. Tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim, aleinu v'yol kol Yisrael amecha, barachenu Avinu, kulanu k'echad ba'or panecha, ki v'or panecha natata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, Torat Chayim, v'havat chesed, v'tzedakah uvracha v'rachamim v'chayim v'shalom, v'tov beinecha levarecha amecha Yisrael, v'kol ha'ami, v'chol eitu v'chol sha'ah v'yishlomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Mosaic hashalom. Let's now turn over to page 481 for our Torah service. There is none like you, eternal one, among the gods people worship. There are no deeds like yours. Your sovereignty is everlasting. Your reign endures from age to age. Eternal one, you reign, you have reigned, you will reign forever. Eternal God, give strength to your people. Eternal God, bless your people with peace.
En kadocha Elohim Adonai Melech v'maasecha Malchucha malchut kol ha'amim u'menshaltecha b'chol yom gadol Adonai melech Adonai
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Eternal One is our God. The Eternal God is one.
Echad Eloheinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Kadosh Shemo.
Gadlul Adonai Yitin Roma Mashmo Yachdav. Let us magnify the Eternal One. Together, let us exalt God's name.
Lecha Adonai hagdula v'hagvura v'hagivek v'hanetzach v'hahod v'hanetzach v'hahod
Please be seated. So we're reading from the beginning of the second Sidra in Bamidbar in Numbers. Last week we had the census for military purposes, and the naming of the heads of tribes who would conduct that census, very male-oriented, and we continue along that vein today. We have the census for labor, for carrying all the bits and pieces associated with the cultic activity, the Mishkan, the tabernacle in the wilderness, and various tribes and clans. Each has a specific task. And subliminally, I suppose we read this with the upcoming turmoil in mind, because there's one clan who would like to be doing more than they're doing. They are very close to the proximity of religious power, but not quite. So that will come up in Korach's rebellion a bit later on. So we'll concentrate on the Gershonites this morning. So I'll be reading Numbers chapter 4, verses 21 to 33 in the Soncino. It's excuse me, on page 814 in the JPSA on page 211.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach ve'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, u'natan lanu et Toratahu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
The Lord spoke to Moses, "Take a census of the Gershonites also, by their ancestral house and by their clans. Record them from the age of 30 years up to the age of 50, all who are subject to service in the performance of tasks for the tent of meeting. These are the duties of the Gershonite clans as to labor and porterage. They shall carry the cloths of the tabernacle, the tent of meeting with its covering, the covering of dolphin skin that is on top of it, and the screen for the entrance of the tent of meeting, the hangings of the enclosures, the screen at the entrance of the gate of the enclosure that surrounds the tabernacle, the cords thereof, and the altar, and all their service equipment, and all their accessories, and they shall perform the service. All the duties of the Gershonites, all their porterage, and all their service, shall be performed on orders from Aaron and his sons, and you shall make them responsible for attending to all their porterage. Those are the duties of the Gershonite clans for the tent of meeting. They shall attend to them under the direction of Itamar, son of Aaron the priest. As for the Merarites, you shall record them by the clans of their ancestral house. You shall record them from the age of 30 years up to the age of 50, all who are subject to service in the performance of the duties for the tent of meeting. These are their portraiture tasks in connection with their various duties for the tent of meeting: the planks, the bars, the posts, and the sockets of the tabernacle, the posts around the enclosure and their sockets, pegs, and cords, all these furnishings in their service. You shall list by name the objects that are their portraiture tasks. Those are the duties of the Merarite clans pertaining to the various duties in the tent of meeting under the direction of Itamar, son of Aaron the priest. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, naso et rosh b'nei Gershon, gam hem lebeit avotam lemishpachotam, miben 30 shana v'ma'ala, ad ben 50 shana, tifkod otam, kol haba litzvod tzava la'avod avodah bo hamoed. Zot avodat mishpachot ha-Gershoni, la'avod u'masa, V'nasu et yiriat hamishkan vet ohel moed miksehu v'michsei hatachash asher alav mil ma'ala vet masach petach ohel moed vet kilei hachatzer vet masach petach sha'ar hachatzer asher al hamishkan v'al hamizbeach saviv vet meitrehem vet kol kilei avodatam that kol asher yaseh lahem va'avdo al pi Aharon uvanav tihiyah kol avodat b'nei haGershonim v'chol masa'am v'chol avodatam ufikdotam aleihem b'mishmeret et kol masa'am zot avodat mishpachot b'nei Gershonim haGershonim bo'hel moed u'mishmartam b'yad Itamar ben Aharon HaKohen. B'nei Merari, mishpachotam lebeit avotam, tikod otam miben 30 shana v'ma'ala. But ben 50 shana, tikadem kol haba litzvo, la'avod et avodat ohel moed, v'zot b'mishmeret masa'am, v'chol avodatam ohel moed. Kashe hamishkan, uvrichav, v'amudav v'ananav v'amudei hachatzer saviv v'adnehem v'tidotam u'metrehem v'chol kalehem v'chol avodatam uv'shemot tifkadu et kalei mishmeret kasa'am zot avodat mishpachot b'nei Merari l'chol avodatam bo hamoed v'yad Itamar ben Aharon HaKohen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natanu לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נתן בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Baruch שנתת תורה בעמו ישראל מקדושתו.
Dedicating the Haftarah reading this morning in memory of my mother, Stella Morgan, who died 5 years ago at the age of 104. She'd been a member of this synagogue for over 55 years. The portion that I shall be reading is chapter 13 of the book of Judges, beginning at verse 2. You can find it in the Soncino on page 835 and the JPSA page 401, 835 and 401. It's the story of the visitation by an angel to Samson's parents, telling them how he should be brought up and how he would save the children of Israel from their enemy, the Philistines. It's a very curious story because there are all sorts of questions left open. The angel's appearance is understood differently by Samson's father and his mother, and there are all sorts of unanswered questions. I found it a very interesting portion. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nbiim tovim v'ratzah b'divreihem v'nemarim b'emet. Baruch atah Adonai abocher b'torah u'b'moshe avdo u'b'Yisrael amo u'v'nbiei ha'emet b'tzedek. There was a certain man from Zorah of the stock of Dan, whose name was Manoah. His wife was barren and had borne no children. An angel of the Lord appeared to the woman and said to her, "You are barren and have borne no children, but you shall conceive and bear a son. Now be careful not to drink wine or other intoxicant, or to eat anything unclean. For you are going to conceive and bear a son. Let no razor touch his head, for the boy is to be a Nazarite to God from the womb on. He shall be the first to deliver Israel from the Philistines." The woman went and told her husband. "A man of God came to me. He looked like an angel of God, very frightening. I did not ask him where he was from, nor did he tell me his name. He said to me, 'You are going to conceive and bear a son. Drink no wine or other intoxicant, and eat nothing unclean, for the boy is to be a Nazarite to God from the womb to the day of his death.' Manoah pleaded with the Lord. 'O my Lord,' he said, 'please let the man of God that you sent come to us again, and let him instruct us how to act with the child that is to be born.' God heeded Manoah's plea, and the angel of God came to the woman again. She was sitting in the field, and her husband Manoah was not with her. The woman ran in haste to tell her husband. She said to him, 'The man who came to me before has just appeared to me.' Manoah promptly followed his wife. He came to the man and asked him, 'Are you the man who spoke to my wife?' 'Yes,' he answered. Then Manoah said, 'May your words soon come true. What rules shall be observed for the boy?' The angel of the Lord said to Manoah, 'The woman must abstain from all the things against which I warned her. She must not eat anything that comes from the grapevine, or drink wine or other intoxicant, or eat anything unclean. She must observe all that I commanded her.' Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, 'Let us detain you and prepare a kid for you.' But the angel of the Lord said to Manoah, 'If you detain me, I shall not eat your food, and if you present a burnt offering, offer it to the Lord.' For Manoah did not know that he was an angel of the Lord. So Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, 'What is your name? We should like to honor you when your words come true.' The angel said to him, 'You must not ask for my name. It is unknowable.' Manoah took the kid and the meal offering and offered them up on the rock to the Lord. And a marvelous thing happened while Manoah and his wife looked on. As the flames leapt up from the altar toward the sky, the angel of the Lord ascended in the flames of the altar, while Manoah and his wife looked on, and they flung themselves on their faces to the ground. The angel of the Lord never appeared again to Manoah and his wife. Manoah then realized that it had been an angel of the Lord, and Manoah said to his wife, 'We shall surely die, for we have seen a divine being.' But his wife said to him, 'Had the Lord meant to take our lives, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and meal offering from us, nor let us see all these things.' and he would not have made such an announcement to us. The woman bore a son, and she named him Samson. The boy grew up, and the Lord blessed him. The Spirit of the Lord first moved him in the encampment of Dan, between Zorah and Eshtaol. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol haolamim, tzadik b'chol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ha'oseh, ha'medaber u'mekayam, shechol devarav emet v'tzedek. Al ha'torah ve'al ha'avada ve'al ha'naviim ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמלוכה לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השלום.
On page 484, and do we have a volunteer to read the paragraph concerning the royal family?
Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our sovereign lady, Queen Elizabeth, and all the royal family, for those who govern our country, and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity.
It might be appropriate to mention here that our member George Fulken has been honored by the Queen in terms of his services to the country and speaking to so many groups over the years concerning the Holocaust, his experiences, and about refugees. I believe it's the MEB.
B-E-M. British Empire Medal. Sure.
All I know is the Medal of Honor. Okay, and we have the second paragraph concerning the welfare of our own community and health. Janet?
Eternal God, as you blessed our ancestors in generations past, bless now this congregation, its leaders and its members, and all who enter this synagogue to meet, to study, and to pray. Comfort the sorrowing hearts among us, and heal those in anxiety or pain. May we all find here community and friendship, renewal of purpose and hope, a deeper understanding of our heritage, and a sense of your abiding presence. Bless all congregations of the house of Israel throughout the world. Let those who live under oppressive rule soon be free, and may we all unite to witness to your truth and do your will.
And Janet and Alan, may your son Mike keep soldiering on, and may he respond well to the medication and everything. And Lindsay, your dear friend. And would anyone else like to mention the name of a friend or a loved one, a member or not?
My friend Maria, he's not in the festival.
Right. Yeah, I spoke with her. Yeah. And we have the prayer for the state of Israel.
Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel, created to fulfill an age-old dream and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aims of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty and justice. May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with their neighbors, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of Zion shall go forth Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem.
Amen.
Ya Hallelu et Shem Adonai Ki Niskav Shemo Levado. Let us praise the Eternal One, whose name alone is exalted. God's teaching is perfect. God's word is unfailing. God's precepts are right. God's commandments are clear. God's doctrine is pure. God's guidance is true. Behold, a good doctrine has been given you. Do not forsake it. It is a tree of life to those who hold it fast, and all who cling to it find happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Please be seated, everybody. There are two very significant anniversaries this week. The fourth, the anniversary of two men. I'm not going to dwell on that too much, just to say that the mythology that the Chinese government has propagated about that protests and so on is still very much in place. And you've probably been following how people with, let's just say, more integrity historically and in terms of justice are still trying to pry open the door and diffuse those terrible myths that the Chinese continue to propagate about what happened. And the images of that day are still very much with us. And D-Day. As it goes, it's not just mythology to say that one of the most important battles in human history. And if that hadn't succeeded, who knows what would have happened. Now, what about the connection between D-Day and Jews and Judaism? Well, there are two very large connections. One has to do with the defeat of the Nazis, of course, and with that, only then the end of the Shoah. The second has to do with people you may have known, those who participated. Many Jews were involved in that effort. But there's a third connection, almost a straight line between one Jewish individual and what happened on that day, and even the establishment of the State of Israel. And I gave Paul a clue. I don't know if anybody else will guess from this clue. Ingrid Bergman. How was Ingrid Bergman involved in any of this?
Was it the film they made? The coloured film?
Nah. Okay. One of the many mistresses of Robert Capa. And indeed, the way that we've come to view in our minds those images, those most salient images, were through the lens of Robert Capa. Those blurry, grainy, shadowy images of the invaders. The first wave, Company E, on Omaha Beach, were made by Robert Capa, using a Contax, not a Leica, Contax. And I just wanted to share a little bit about Robert Capa to remind ourselves about him and his legacy, and to take a rather unusual angle on the events of that day. He was born Andre Friedman, some of you might remember, in Pest, and sort of the hoi polloi side of Budapest. His parents were in the schmata business, in the rag trade, and he had a brother also who became a photographer, Cornel Capa, and they were quite sort of middle class. Cornel was born in 1918, and Robert was born October 22nd, 1913, and in Pest. He was quite a lobbist when he was young. He was quite rebellious, didn't do so well at school, and had no interest in going into the schmata business, into his parents' shop. And he was also involved with leftist student activities against the Hungarian right-wingers, and he spent a night in jail, and it's only through the wife of the chief of police, who was one of his parents' good customers, that he was actually released. And so he took his high school exams, basically failed, and he ran off to try and study photography. He spent a bit of time in Berlin and learned some things there in the darkroom and so on, and then he fled Berlin because of the Nazis, and then he went to Paris. And when he was in Paris, he became friendly with some of the greats. Cartier-Bresson, André Kertész, another Hungarian Jew, and a number of others. So we're talking the early to mid-30s. And this was a hotbed of culture and artists and photographers and writers and philosophers all thrown together, I should say painters specifically. And he started out as an errand boy and with a photo agency, a photojournalist agency. He was promoted to darkroom assistant, and then he did some more printing, and then he eventually was able to do his first jobs. Now, I mentioned he was quite a lobbyist. Often lobby are the ones who wind up as leaders, as really prominent, because because of the dreams they have inside of them. And so Andre Friedman, he fell in love with a woman who changed her name, her surname to Taro, Gerda Taro, and he wound up changing his name from Andre Friedman to Robert Capa, thinking about Capra, and he liked the name Robert, so he thought that sounded good together. And they created this, they made up, they invented in 1936 this identity of Robert Capa. This completely made up figure. So in 36, photo sales are going down, and he and Gerda went together to photograph the Spanish Civil War. And they kept saying to the agencies, there's this really famous American photographer named Robert Capa. We represent him, and you've got to buy his photos. And so, they did this sort of teamwork, and they sold his photos, and Robert Capa became famous, and then eventually Andre came out as Robert Capa. So he invented his identity. Meanwhile, tragically, Gerda was killed. Very much associated with the leftists. She was the love of his life, and he never, ever got over mourning for her. And he had affairs right, left, and center with movie stars and aristocrats and all the beautiful women everywhere, but he never got over his first love. And did I mention that that Capa came from Frank Capra, the Hollywood director, and Robert came from the actor Robert Taylor, and he was starring in Greta Garbo's. He starred as Greta Garbo's screen lover in Camille. I don't know if any of you know that sort of stuff, okay. So he photographed, and one of his most famous photos, you might remember, is of the soldier, the leftist soldier in Spain, the moment of death. And there was a dispute that went on for many decades about whether that was really authentic or posed. Yeah? And eventually it was decided that it was authentic because the family of that man in the photo, that moment of death, vouched that he was there in that place, he was killed, and so on and so forth. So really showing the horror of war. And the faces. If you ever want to see incredible photos of the faces of the civilians, go straight to his images of the Spanish Civil War. I should add that the photos that really also helped make him famous were the portraits of Leon Trotsky speaking at rallies, and Capa was, pretty far left. So let's come to D-Day. By 1944, by June 44, we know that there were the great, horrible deportations, mass deportations of Hungarian Jewry. And in Auschwitz, from May until the end of the summer, hundreds of thousands of victims. So people he knew were being murdered. And he was chosen to photograph for Life magazine the goings-on at D-Day. And he said he would go with the very first wave, Company E, Omaha Beach, which was one of the worst battles. And that was with the Yanks. And he was weighed down by his rucksack, his cameras, and all sorts of things. And people being killed, wounded all around him. And I just wanted to share with you a couple of the photos, just to remind you of those photos. And there's a whole story behind those photos. Pat, you certainly will recall this. that they were, the films were sent to Paris, not to Paris, but back to London, rather, and they were processed. And while they were being processed and being dried, they were left too long in the dryer, and the emulsions actually melted and so on. So hence we got these really grainy, contrasty images. These are the ones that are in our heads. You know, when you think D-Day, he's right there. And his motto was, get as close as you can to the action, and then get closer again. And if your photographs aren't good enough, you're not close enough. He's not using long lenses. He's just using a normal lens. And so he's literally a few feet away from those that are being killed all around him. So these photos became incredibly famous, and here's some more. And he followed the troops all the way through. Drinking too much whiskey and having too many affairs all along the way. This is his autobiography called Slightly Out of Focus. And he talks a lot about his gambling as well. So a real lobbyist with the drink, the women, and the cards. And he, at the end of the war, he faced great emptiness. You know, the adrenaline, the sense of purpose, all that stuff. And he was in the States for doing assignments, lifestyle assignments, we would call them, for the big publications. He was thoroughly bored. And his relationship with Ingrid Bergman was very strong. She was unhappy in her marriage, but he couldn't settle down in one place for them to get married, and she wasn't going to give up her career, so that relationship ended. He then got involved photographing the beginnings of the State of Israel. And this is a very famous book, which my father bought in 1951-52. He collaborated with Irwin Shaw, Report on Israel, and he was really happy there. He hung out on Dizengoff with his pals, drank whiskey, drank coffee, flirted, played cards, and he was really, really happy. And he also photographed the conflict, and he also photographed just the faces and the land. You know, this image of renewal and
So
rebirth. Well, there are connotations there, absolutely. From the ashes to being reborn. And we could look at all of his pictures of Israel in the early days, and literally it's about rebirth. It's about these kinds of characters, you know, with the ghetto-like faces of Frummers marching on. And the references, I suppose, for Christians of rebirth, resurrection, a new state. And there's also a great deal of concentration on young, beautiful mothers and their babies. And here again, here's a lovely baby. It's almost like a snapshot, but this idea of fertility and new life. And so just as the images of D-Day that we carry around in our heads are very much a result of his work, a lot of the images that we have about Israel in the early days also were set by Robert Capa. You know, this sort of thing on a small settlement. You know, the baby who's really free. You know, this is a very healthy looking baby. This is not Belsen. And the freedom, the health, the fertility, you know, life after death. For Robert Capa, unfortunately, it all ended too soon. And after this, he got very depressed again and did assignments that thoroughly bored him. And he was gambling and making huge amounts of money, but just losing it all. He was sent on assignment to Vietnam, and in 1954, he felt like he had some purpose again, but he stepped on a landmine and was killed at the age of 42. And the legacy in photography that comes from him is that just after the war, with his buddies George Roger, a great British or English photographer, and Henri Cartier-Bresson, and a couple of others, they founded Magnum, the great photo agency, which is still going today. And Andre's brother, Robert's brother, Cornell, was very much involved with that to keep his memory going, and Robert's mother as well, as long as she lived. So a direct connection with D-Day and our memories, and culturally what's important, how we view D-Day, and also the beginnings of the State of Israel. I mean, you can't really get much more Jewish than that. And through one man, one young Jewish Lavis, Andre Friedman, alias Robert Kappa. Turn over to page 520 for the Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol la'tet gedula yotzer bereshit asher sam chalkeinu li'ached et shemo v'gor aleinu l'hamlich malkuto. Moshav Yekadro b'Shamayim Ma'al U'Shchinatu Zo b'Gavhei Meromim Hu Eloheinu Ein Od Emet Malkeinu Efesu Lato Kakatu b'Torato Yadata Hayom v'Hashevota Ele b'Vecha Ki Adonai Hu Elohim b'Shamayim Ma'al Haaretz mitachat Ein Od. Trusting in you, eternal God, we hope soon to behold the glory of your might, when false gods will vanish from our hearts and idolatry cease forever. Help us to perfect the world by bringing it under your unchallenged rule. When all will invoke your name, relinquish evil, and turn to you alone, may all who dwell on earth come to know that to you every knee must bend and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you let them humble themselves, and to your glorious name let them give honor. Let all submit to your sovereign rule. May that time come soon and last forever. For ultimate sovereignty is yours, and to all eternity you will reign in glory, as it is written, The Eternal One shall reign forever. Life is finite, like a candle. It burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty. But then it fades. Its substance is consumed, and it is no more. And on this Shabbat, we remember our loved ones. And Brigitte, we wish you strength and long life as you remember your grandmother, Bertha Butler. And Paul, we wish you strength and long life as you remember your mom, Stella Morgan. We remember Ruth Richmond and Edith Shelton. And would anyone like to mention the name of another person?
My uncle. You say it.
Her uncle, Eugene Strauss.
Eugene Strauss. He passed away last week.
He was 94. He did all right.
This is your mum's brother.
No, my father's.
Your father's
He always thought he'd die young. The rest of his brothers and his father died very young. But he carried on.
Anybody else? Yet we do not despair, for we know that we are more than a flickering flame. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and light, of death and life. As in our hearts we name our loved ones, we pray that the divine presence will comfort us and all who mourn. Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Shemei Raha, Ba'alma Divrach, Irtei, Yamlich, Malchutei, V'chayechon, Yomechon, V'chayegachol Beit Yisrael, V'galav Man Kariv Ninru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mebarach Le'olam U'Lamein Amaya, Yitzharak Yishtabak B'Trar B'Tramam V'Gnaseh, V'Tadar V'Taleh V'Talel Shemei D'Kudishah B'Richu, Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata, Tushbachata V'Nechamata, Avanan Ba'Alma V'Nru, Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shamaya, V'Chayim Aleinu Yol Kol Yisrael, V'Nru, Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Rama, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu Yol Kol Yisrael, Yol Kol B'nei Adam, V'Nru, Amen. Please be seated. And we turn back to, is it, just check here, is it 197, Joseph?
Yeah, I'm got it, yeah. I'm sure, right?
We saw A9.
And no, that's not right, Alvin.
No, that's Socrates.
Yes,
I'll
correct.
check the index here.
180.
180. Confirmed.
Oh
so we acknowledge the thousands of Allied soldiers, young men and young women in the campaign who gave their lives so that we would be free. And from this military prayer book, acknowledging that these individuals delivered us from danger. Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe, who grantest benefits unto the undeserving. For to me hast thou also granted all good. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
I'm told it's 20-25 minutes late.
If you want Kathleen's in the middle of the sermon, if you want to go down now to hear the rest of it.
Or you can wait, or I give you dispensation if you want to go
Yes.
home.
But just before we go, just a few announcements. I know Joseph's got an announcement as well, is that right?
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, so, anyone can't see? No.
Yeah, there's a few hiding.
22nd of June, Liberal Judaism Day of Music at Northwood Villa Liberal Synagogue. I'll be there in the afternoon, certainly. It's all day. You can go after shul. It'll be very good, and there's lots of interesting sessions, so I really recommend it. All details are on the Liberal Judaism website, and we'll put it
I've got the link as well if anyone's
We'll send it
interested.
around in email, but it'll be really interesting, so I recommend it.
And tonight, Shavuot. Yeah. Yes, 7 p.m. Tonight at Cole High. And tomorrow here we've got a Shavuot service starting at 11 o'clock. And this Friday, sort of following on with sort of tradition that we're introducing service in people's homes, Adrian Green. We have Adrian, she'll be hosting the service. Again, if you need details of the address, etc., then give me a shout and I'll let you know. And obviously we need to know for Adrian's purpose of hosting it, so please let me know. Any other announcements?
And Adrian lives not far from the intersection of Preston Road and Green Avenue.
And she said there's parking will be okay. I think she's got space in her drive, I think she said as well.
For this evening, for Hatched, we've got in our car prayer books, so you don't need to worry about not having prayer books or bringing your own.
Oh, good. Because last year and the year before, I think
We forgot.
This year we have prayer
we
books.
had
have a
one to
prayer.
share.
Yeah, and I think you were leading a discussion after.
Yeah, about crossing rivers, metaphorically and literally, and relating some different things. So, it's your choice. You can stay and have kiddush, or you can, I don't know, run to your favorite pub in Soho and celebrate. Possibly. I was there twice earlier this year. Oh wow, you were just there.
And Russell daughters have taken over.
I'll be in India in probably back in Lodz and Lodz. John, thanks for the speech. I've been there twice in the last. I could well be going back
Right.
No. I've seen him once in Australia. He was awful. Is he? Yeah. And you know when Cousins was out there?
Well, that's right, yes.
May it stagnate for many years. Thank you, Lobo. Yeah. If you need to drink some food, ask them if Kodachrome chemicals, Jewish poison, or stop that. Ooh, no, too acidic.
How you doing? All right. Let him know. Yes.
We know. That's why he's not allowed to lift it.
I can lift it. 2 meters straight for him.
Okay, so that's fine with you.
Yeah, no, sure.
I deliberately actually again from the series.
Yeah,
We're not getting
I don't know why. Your sister has declared me some suspect.
I'm listening to what the person
I'm going to give you a bell.
Anyway, you've got the date.
I haven't got anyone because I was waiting for you to. Oh yeah, no, I haven't booked anyone yet.
No, we got
Traveling more soon.
In terms of singer or in terms of singer?
Horseback riding. Wild horses.
Yeah.
I want to see the
I suspect I've already asked Christine because I normally ask when,
Yeah, Christine definitely.
when I'm away. She's usually the safest person to do it. I haven't booked a keyboard player yet.
And the river dance is to get there like train driving without having to fly.
Sounds right. Oh, Avignon is really interesting.
Sister
Sister city with Wetzlar, home of the Leica, and it's based on the Leitz's family exchanges around music. And all the music, I think the so look out for signs of Wetzlar. Oh, Avignon is really interesting.
Well, then if it's to keep Christine.
No, but I mean, it's important. It's important. I've never met him, so I was just thinking an easy option by employing someone that was done it before. And that's quite okay. All right.
But that's, I mean, the depends available as well, so I appreciate that. I'll put on Mark too.
We will with Andrew. Is that
Okay.
not?
All right, that's a good point. Thank you.
Sure, it wasn't there.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Eventually, one day somebody
Sneaked on them.
sneaked on.
I know what happened.
No, logo.
I know. I had so much else to.
Out of the camp
let me-
and taken them. And the whole
Have you told him?
village was in
No, I haven't. Yeah.
You're not far from the place where
Can you-
Jean
can you
Moulin
remind
was
me?
captured,
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
I don't
never-
mind you, I'm not here.
And of
Always got
course,
so much else for services. to think
where's that
about.
amazing Shulin cemetery that was vandalized some years ago? Carpentras?
Carpenter.
Yeah, that's near there.
Carpenter.
That's really, if you can go there, just
It doesn't bother me.
Gold and
And I don't think that. There's no harm. He
this
used
is the
to.
octagonal
He
stone.
used
I
to.
have to check my photos. It's very beautiful like that.
I don't.
Yeah. Oh wow, well, have a good time. And this lucky guy's just been in New York.
And Washington.
Oh,
What was the weather like in New York?
Not bad.
Okay.
yeah, Washington. Washington.
Washington.
Washington.
Yeah.
Washington. Trump. Trumpkopf.
Trump.
Yeah.
Trump.
Trumpkopf.
Always think of it. Always think of Trump.
Are you going anywhere else or not? Anything else planned?
Only little trips.
Yeah.
Vienna, because Eliza's involved with the school in concerts, well, 3 concerts. One is choral and the others are the orchestra,
Yeah.
which she's participating
Oh,
in.
fantastic. Yeah.
So St Stephen's Cathedral,
Oh, how
it's a
lovely.
chorus.
With the roof.
And then the next day is the Orangerie, with an outdoor concert, whether that is. Maybe it's Belvedere, I'm not sure.
Probably.
And then the last one, which you won't be able to go to, is also open air, but somewhere near the
wheel.
big wheel or something
Ah,
like
the
that.
hub. Yeah.
So 3 nights in Vienna. I've always said I would never go to Austria,
Yeah.
but Vera's got no one else to go with, so I've got to go.
I would have gone with her. If I'd known.
Well, I can transfer the ticket to you.
Haven't been there recently.
We have been, not so very long.
They're still victims. They're still victims.
Just as well, it's actually an issue for me, and I haven't I actually don't think it's that important. I don't know what you think.
Well, they're not all.
They don't believe in the world exists.
I don't think that's important. That's what I'm saying. I know.
But the cakes.
We can get that to you.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah, no, it's not the same.
The Neue Gallery.
I don't know who I should be.
I think I would
There's the other one across the square, which is
Well, I think if they,
Not
as
good.
long as no one doesn't mind, as long as it's not
different.
something that really bothers him, I mean, it should be an easy thing to.
Yeah, it's not difficult concerning you.
Yeah, I mean, I just forgot. It's one of those things that, like, as long as no one.
It's just one person.
Yeah, just
it's offered to one person.
Just, but like, if everyone doesn't mind, then I think I'd ask
Yeah,
him. Like,
if he had any objections, stuff like that.
fine. Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's how I would treat it.
Okay, all right. Just try and keep everyone happy as best I
Yeah,
can.
no,
As best I can.
it's, I mean, if there was absolutely people, walking out in disgust, then it's a different issue. And how's the High Holy Days planning?
Yeah, I've been working on it. I think I've got to sort now because Felicity couldn't do it.
that's a shame.
Antenna couldn't do it. Yeah, all right. I'll get good people. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, you can trust me to get good people. But like, and I was just because Lobo was going to do it now. I said to him like, I want you to be aware that I'm going to do new music, so you need to like, be prepared for that. So it'll be fine. I think I've got a good soprano. I think she's there's just.
Is it someone like that? Or
No, she's Emily. She's Jewish, but I try and get Jewish where possible, but it's usually quite busy.